Hey everybody, this is editor Alk here. We seem to have had a small production issue with this episode where Rafa's mic seemingly was coming through on the recording, but unfortunately we did lose most of his audio up until the very end of the podcast. So apologies. This is going to have a lot of dead air. So if you're going to be mostly an audio listener to this podcast, enjoy the nice silence and some of the background music. Remember, this is music made by Rafa, so go and check him out. But hopefully this will not be an issue for another episode. Again, apologies and enjoy the episode. Episode 22, LPL English Podcast, and I'm joined by Mazel and Rafa. Welcome back, everybody, for yet another week of going over the second best league in the word. Yay!
Who used to be number one?
After week 3, we're heading into the back half of the split. We've got 2 more weeks, and then we got playoffs, so we're getting really close to some really exciting best of 5s. And then afterwards, I think we're the only region left with a regional finals. I just realized that. I'm excited. I love regional finals. It's one of the
Wait,
my
how
favorite
does
parts
LCK determine their?
They're already
First
with
four
the placements, right?
They have their playoffs. They just have their they have like the old format. They have their old format where you have your normal, like all of your regular season games are in the same, like they carry over from spring to summer. So they have a play-ins, which be like our Knights rivals, where it's or our like the same kind of bracket as a regional finals, where they basically put 4 teams, 2 teams make it out of that, and then those go into playoffs. And thanks to HLE winning MSI, as long as HLE make it to playoffs, they're going to be able to qualify. Oh, they have to qualify for playoffs and finish top 3. That is another hurdle I did not know about. Where I'm immediately getting sidetracked. Is Leaguepedia right about this? That's nuts. You have to also get top 3? I thought it was just make playoffs.
I
You just like
just
FF the whole
qualify.
tournament. Yeah.
I could have
That's
sworn it was
great.
just qualify. Because then they talk
Yeah,
about
actually.
it at MSI about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it says lowest. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
MSI
well,
champion. Huh.
on the MSI page. Huh.
I'm getting
Yeah,
sidetracked immediately.
It says it does say on Leaguepedia here. It says winner qualifies for 2026 season world championship. This spot will only become effective if the winning team reaches split 3/summer playoffs. So it looks like it's just playoffs.
All right, then whoever wrote this on the LOL fandom website, we're gonna find you and we're gonna do stuff to you. But
You can't do this to casters. Come on.
yeah, exactly. Rafa's got the
What's the
location
German
down.
song?
No, we're not doing this. No. We got
You are enough.
We spent 3 minutes. We already went 3 minutes. Lennon, how are we doing? How did you like week 3?
Oh man, I'm actually a little disappointed in week 3. I felt like we could have had a way more banger week with crazy upsets and craziness across the bracket. I feel like the last 2 days were very stock set. We've got 2 zeros for literally 2 days in a row, which I feel like is such a rarity in the LPL. It was nice to see the JDG bounce back. I thought that was cool. I think it's awesome to see them actually performing like maybe some of the expectations had for them. Top esports back to regular season form feels really great. BLG losing was a little bit weird. Still love IG is performing really well, but I feel like we could have had some more upsets from the lower bracket of the, or I guess the lower rungs of Group Ascend, and we didn't get that this week, so a little sad.
What do you mean? We had that banger TT game versus LGD.
That was all the way at the beginning of the week.
Yeah, that was Thursday, and then they also had a super cool series versus WE the next day.
They did.
No, doesn't. Rafa, what about you?
Tickle it.
Yeah, they're facing BLG and AL next week, and then they've got Top Esports on week 5, but that'll be a little bit of time before we get to that. We had a lot of cool stuff happen this week. I think the fact that, like you were saying, JDG ended up going Excuse me. I had to sneeze. Didn't even come out. As soon as I put my arm to my armpit, didn't work. They had a 3-0 week. This was really important for them. Just you're going up against some of the weakest teams here in the league, and if you would have lost any of these or most of these, we would be very scared about this team. I know we were talking about, I think, in the episode before this one on the 20th one. So I'm glad to see them bouncing back. We'll see what they look like for playoffs. WE had a pretty disappointing week, all things considered. Like, in a normal world, maybe fans will remember how I was talking about Thunder Talk in week 1, where they actually were in winning positions against multiple different teams, but they didn't close it out. WE were losing all of their early games, and by the grace of God, they won that series from AL. But if everything else had gone normally, this team was 0-3 on the week. So very worrying signs for our 4th and 5th kind of bubble teams there. But we can talk a little bit about Group Nirvana. Again, we talked about this last week on the pod, and we're just doing a follow-up just because we're kind of getting close to qualifying for playoffs, and we already have one team locked out, and that is LNG. Sad to see, but they're winning 0 games. They are winning 0 games.
You just need the Locked Out of Heaven song to start playing with no copyright. Yeah, that feels really bad for LNG. I just, man, the group Nirvana has been fun. I know it sucks for LNG, but the fact that Weibo actually won a series maybe makes things interesting. We don't have many games left to find out, though.
I'm still worried about Hope, though. I'm still there. There's even some of these mage games. I'm like, the Xerath game, he got sold out by his top laner, but yeah.
I'll say it's a heck of a free fall from Elkman. Can you imagine just like 2 years ago, not even, he was like highest of highs, getting the first LPL championship for Billy, like all these wonderful moments, having some insane Ezreal and Kai'Sa performances on the world stage. And now he's one game or one series away of potentially being knocked out of even contending for playoffs. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Take the early exit, get signed by another team, even though that can't happen with the timing. But that would be hilarious.
Yeah. It would be it'd be a little tough.
Today.
He'd have to actually on the day of the recording, the lock-in for rosters for playoffs is the 10th. So we're filming this on the night of the 9th. This would have to be a day and a half of him being signed away, or
but it's 14 hours in advance, so it's already the 10th over there.
Yeah, that's also true. He could also be signed after playoffs going into Worlds, which completely possible. I made a joke at the very beginning of the year that if JDG like bomb out and they don't make the World Championship, that Tabe, in normal Tabe fashion, where he's chasing a bag, he jumps ship and he goes to an LPL team that's going to Worlds. He's like, all right, I'm coming in as assistant coach, or maybe I schmooze my way into a head coach role and
go to BLG,
I lead the
bro.
team. No, we have Danny. Danny's the GOAT. Sorry, brother.
Danny ain't gonna stand for that.
Stay over there. But sad to see that LNG. I'm not surprised. And I remember talking about this on the Weibo LNG series with Grapes. But it feels when I watch LNG, they do not actually have a leader in the game. Missing on these engaged champions looks awful. Like, the Nautilus games have been really rough. And they've gotten close to winning some games. But, like, I have never felt like, oh, this is a commanding enough position that a normal good team should be able to win from here. It's been like, okay, you've won a fight. Can we do another few steps? That is... I feel like this is 5 solo queue players lumped into a room and stuck in comms.
Yeah. I just wonder, because it's so funny to think about it now, obviously at the end of the year, but I still remember conversations at the beginning of the year saying that LNG were the underdog, crazy team that's going to make these wild runs, and I felt like we got that for a little bit, but then since the second split and since the downfall into or I guess back into Group Nirvana, it's been really hard to see like who takes a hold of this team just because I feel like a lot of the pieces are pieces that were either left over or some kind of changes to another roster that finally made it over here. And I think it just hasn't gelled in the way that maybe we were expecting, even with the likes of Weiwei coming in, somebody who's a little bit more veteran, not being able to find the synergy, especially with him and Missing, who need to be connecting, who need to have those good influential plays on the map. Without that, like, it feels like you can't survive in the meta that we're in League of Legends, and it's just so painfully apparent with this team that it's not working, and there is no direction when they get into game. There's individual plays, and the players all know what to do individually in some regard, but it's when it comes together and it looks that bad that you gotta wonder what they do from here on. I mean, I guess they won't have to worry about that, but it's,
YCX is also probably never coming back. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, no. No.
I want to see more YCX, but I think internally they're like, guys, we need the best players in the role right now. And not that Missing has been playing that well, but Missing is also ranked 6 on the solo queue ladder in Korea. So they're like, hey brother, you're playing in a solo queue, you've earned a spot. You get to stick on the team for now and play with the guys. But they're locked out 0-4. There's no way they can make it. If Weibo were to lose another series, obviously they also would then be out because of their game differential. Another thing to note is that Weibo need to win every game from here on out. Their game differential is -1. Invictus and NIP are 4 and 5 respectively. If they lose another series from here, they can't make up the differential against their opponents. So now is the time, guys. They have 2 more series for LNG. Does anybody feel they are going to go undefeated or unwinning? 0 wins in the game scored.
Chao's the GOAT, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying he's gonna lead him to victory.
No. LNG, is LNG gonna go? Win this?
LNG.
0. Are they gonna go 0? Are they gonna go 0-12? Are they gonna go 0-12?
Yes. Final answer.
That was the first round robin.
That was the first round robin.
There's
Yeah. So it's just NIP and Weibo left.
They face Weibo on the very last day of the tournament. On the very last day of regular season.
Yep. Ooh, okay.
Okay. All right. We'll put you on the LNG Weibo game at the end of the season. How about that? Yep.
You want the toilet bowl? You're getting the toilet bowl.
You said you were gonna celebrate with the rest of the LNG fans. We'll give you the series. Congrats. Now you know. This is great. I'm giving you 2 weeks. I'm giving you 2 weeks advance.
Call
August 23rd.
now.
August 23rd.
Yep. Let's sign it, ship it, send it.
Yeah. Let's. You're not allowed. We're not bargaining. This is not a bargain.
That's not a bargain.
That's not how this works. I've already let Kelsey know.
Yeah.
You're locked in.
The signal flares have been lit, Rafa.
It's also an early series. You know, it's a 12 a.m. PDT series, so you should be.
You'll be great.
You won't be cooked.
Great.
Let's keep a move on. We've got other teams. Weibo got to play with Moham finally. I don't know if we'll see Jue again, but Moham seemed fine. I don't think he was incredible, and I still don't see this team making it out. So it is really just a 2-team group, and I just think that NIP's form is much more clean in comparison to Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, I guess. I do think there's been better individual plays for IG, but I think as a whole, I think NIP have looked pretty good. I still think the funniest thing is gonna happen, and Weibo are gonna make it out with IG, and I might eat that. which I'm fine with. I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be NIP. It's not going to be IG. And so maybe I'm preying on their downfall. Maybe I'm not. But I don't know, man. Something ain't sticking with this NIP team for me. I think
Really?
it's Weibo IG at the end. For literally no analytical reason. Just a feeling.
I agree. There is no analysis behind that. This Weibo
There
team is
isn't.
garbage.
I told you. But
This
it's
team is
Weibo.
so bad.
All right. How many times have we doubted them, man?
Hey, I
It's
think
Moham
it's time.
Xiao to victory. Like, I don't know. How
think
sad
it's
is it?
time.
And I talked about it because I'm biased about it. How sad is it that we finally got the split of ZDZ and Xiao Hao again for the second time?
And it's gone.
That's
And it's
sad.
gone. So, Rafa is furiously typing to Kelsey Moser to please do not put me on August the 23rd series.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Hide it. No, I'm not.
Please, is begging in her DMs. Please don't schedule me on Sunday. Please, I don't want to cast Weibo LNG. He's gonna be like, guys, I'm sick that day.
I'm sick. Make sure you write your cover letter to Kelsey about that. This is why I think I should be on the LPL series.
You guys are seeing the struggle of having 2 admins on this show, and
Yeah, you
or I guess
are.
3 admins, three
Three.
admins on the show, and Rafa's just sitting here like, please, please, please.
Let's put on our capes and decide his fate.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Look, you can be excited for the games that you want to be able to cast. I'm totally down for that. Okay. One last point, and then we really got to move on this. Last week, we had a discussion with me, Yanni, and K-Man about can IG make the run? Can they go from Group Nirvana through the playoffs, through the regional gauntlet, all the way to Worlds? I think currently with the form that they're showing, it is highly unlikely that they make it very far in playoffs. I think that the Shy is getting a lot of player of the matches that I wouldn't say they're like massively like underdeserved or overdeserved. I do think some of this is like a multi-stage problem. I think a lot of the top laners have not been that incredible. Hoya's been pretty fine, but that's the one series that IG have a loss in. And I just see the way that this team plays. I see how Rookie's been performing so far this split. I think I see sometimes Awesome make some of those late game critical mistakes that can really ruin a game against super elite teams here in the league. And you can get away with this in Group Nirvana. You are never getting away with this in a best of 5 in like 100 games, right? Like we play 100 of these best of 5s. A majority of them, these mistakes are going to get you 3-0'd or 3-1'd by our top 4 teams. I actually think IG have a terrible matchup into a team like WE because WE are just going to run them over and play like this super fast style that the old men can't handle. So I really don't think that IG are going to be able to make it. Not only adding on to the fact that in terms of championship points, and we talked about this last week, they're at the bottom of the barrel. They're the only team that they're above is NIP, and NIP have 5 points. IG have 10. You need to leapfrog so many teams in playoffs.
And that's why it's like so weird with the championship points and how LPL changed their structure this year versus what everybody else did in the world. Because when IG were struggling and trying to figure out who the hell they wanted to play between Ya and Renard and what they were going to do without Rookie, they were losing out on these championship points and making it that much harder for the eventual redemption. And yeah, I don't know. I think we're seeing some of the changes come into full circle now with some of these last gasp efforts. And I don't know if I'm a fan or not. I haven't decided yet. But it's interesting to see how much the previous splits now mattered with the way that things are planning out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, T1 wouldn't have made it. True, we could have won a world. I hate you, IG. I hate you, IG. It's fine. All right, I'm done looking at this.
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing? One thing.
Get in there. Come on.
Is EDG the new WE, and do they do the same exact thing the W did last time, where they don't win until like literally the last week, and then they win like 2 games, and then they do really good in the playoffs?
I think it's likely. I mean, they're going to have to play against LGD again, so that's the closest opponent they're going to have access to a win like that. They play against TT on Saturday of week 5, so the second to last day. I feel bad for JJ. I feel like there's the same issues we see with that team for EDG. And me and Dia were actually going about it. Do you guys know what the worst game differential in LPL history has been?
Was it that V5 roster?
So we have summer of 22. We had
Rogue Warriors,
Team WE.
Right?
We had Team WE with minus 25. We have 2016 Hyper Youth Gaming going minus 27. They went 3-30. They had a 1-15.
Damn, even that Rogue Warriors
scoreline.
team wasn't on there. That's crazy.
Like the highest we have seen is mid-20s / high 20s. Obviously 27 is crazy. 26 is something we've seen like once or twice. If they were to lose, if EDG were to basically FF the rest of the split and they have 6 series left, they would get minus 27. They would tie for the highest record in game score, in game differential.
Wow.
I do not think that is going to happen, but I think it is very likely we see this team go anywhere between minus 23 and 25, which would tie them and put them in one of the worst teams of all time in a regular.
Got the solution. I've got the solution. Connect a piece of engineering from JJ's computer all the way around the other computers until it goes onto Leave's flash key. And then that means that JJ can hit the flash key that Leave never does. And maybe they'll win games. It'd be crazy.
Guys, I know Leave has been problematic, but I'm seeing some of these team fights and ZDZ looks completely useless.
That might be true,
Bulldog
but it doesn't matter.
Useless. It does matter. That's 40% of my team being useless. Welcome back to the LPL English podcast, guys. Every week we're gonna have a segment where we flame EDG.
They deserve it.
They deserve it. It's what happens when you're 0-8, baby. Let's keep it moving. We spent a lot of time kind of bouncing all over the place. We've got the biggest piece of news to drop right before the playoffs, and it is Flandre joining BLG. We had some notes from the BLG staff talking about that. This was a internally requested piece for Bin. He wanted someone to step in, and Wembo was a temporary fix. AL said that, allegedly anyway, Flandre was not performing in scrims. They said it was potentially an attitude issue, and so they removed him. BLG then picked him up, and this seems like a fairly suitable replacement for Bin. Whether or not we see Bin for the rest of playoffs, that is unknown. The wording around it kind of sounds like Bin and Flandre are going to share, and Flandre is, to me, kind of playing like a positional coach. Like, hey, these are some of the things that I'm thinking about. Here's what we should be thinking about going into game. And he will also play games. So I am feeling like this swap is going to probably be more of like a 6-man roster, but the wording around it feels like the top esports situation where, yes, 369 is a player and is now part of the team as a positional coach, but they always have that option that if things are not going well, they can slot 369 in, and Flandre might be playing the rest of the regular season out for this team.
I actually, and I posted about it on Twitter, but I actually really like that. And I think that just makes BLG stronger. It all depends what the internal emotions are like and how the relationship develops. But when you have these two different kinds of perspectives on the roster on how to play top lane and a little bit differentiation and what they bring to the table, I think not only is that going to make Bin a better player, and that's who I'm really highlighting in this, because I do think that's still their end goal, is to have Bin in the starting roster and kind of use this as a building moment for him. Or if Flandre just all of a sudden finds another resurgence for the 4th time, it can really have some impact for BLG, but it gives them that dual perspective. And while it can be tough to have a 6-man roster, and we've seen it be tough to have a 6-man roster for BLG, we've also seen it work for them in some regard. And so I hope that it becomes a constructive moment for BLG. I hope it becomes a constructive moment for Bin specifically, because I think he has nothing but to gain out of this situation if he really tackles it the way he should and trying to learn the different facilitative roles a top laner can provide, because we've seen what BLG look like when they have a little bit of a weaker top side and they're able to play around some of their other key pieces, and they do look better, or at least more consistent. And I think those are the things that I want to see from Ben a little bit more, even though we do know him as a carry, but to be able to kind of have that backward role for BLG. So huge shout out to Wenbo. I actually don't think he was that bad. I actually think he was a lot better than I expected him to be, and I hope he finds another team, but we got to get the A-list stars back in there, I guess.
Yeah. Rafa, are you feeling? Did you get Morgana queued? You get Cho'Gath W'd?
It was that's where like all the carousel memes came from, because all of a sudden they would do really good. And then it continued into Wind Shadow and Beige and that's what started the whole yeah. But what I'm saying it started like when they started swapping, they would all of a sudden get resurgences, and I do think that competition maybe helped them. I don't know though, the back end of it actually.
I just think that way was like I think they just wanted to find like another piece and see what would happen, like apply pressure, put something on Shun to like, hey, you have to perform, because this team was not really able to punch above, even though 2024 was a rather good year for BLG in the domestic. They also had this is when we started doing Group Ascend and Group Nirvana, and the groups were you played less games. Group Ascend in summer was a single round robin. So they played 8 games, and they swapped way in after halfway through the JDG series, and then that team barely lost any games, much less series. So they went 9-1 in their playoffs for summer before Worlds. Like, Way looked fine. I don't think that there was like, is definitely like a Way style team, but shouldn't bring so many intangibles, and his style just ends up working better with this team, and I think we saw that even reflected in the results for 2025. Someone said that this was now going to be like a sword and shield team, which I think is interesting. You know, like bring in Bin to play carries, bring in Flandre to play tanks, but I think in a fearless game, there are so many different things you're going to be thinking about when games change and champions are taken away, that you're actually just incentivized just to have the pool in one player and not kind of split time like that. So
we need the dual spec Bin. Just got to check that ego.
His silence been okay. I loved the voice comms we got after MSI, where it's just been like begging his team, guys, please come top, and they're like, we're winning the game.
You gotta be okay with that, and he is not okay with that.
You're gonna have to suffer, brother. Like
and that's why I want him to learn. That's why, like, I really hope he takes this opportunity and learns from it. And like, I don't know what he's like personally. I've not had many interactions, obviously, with people that have had close interactions with him, but I really hope, I really hope he's able to take the chip to the ego and be able to come out the better, because I still do believe in him as being able to contest the best top laners of the world and be one of the best top laners of the world. But sometimes you got to learn hard lessons, and some of that is not getting resources all the time.
Bin's career has been nuts. He comes in, he goes to the World Finals. He's one of the only players to get a pentakill in the World Finals. 2021 isn't that much better for him, but then 22, He gets to win MSI. He gets to go to MSI again the next year. Oh, I thought producer Ilya is procking my aggro. Okay. He gets top 4 at Worlds the next year. He gets to go to MSI and he goes to finals again in 24. He goes to Worlds finals again in 24. I think the ego should be there. I think that the ego for a player of this caliber who has only seen high levels of success. He obviously has not won the World Championship. He's only won a single MSI. So he has seen the very top levels of success. I am not surprised that there are these rumors and all the speculation that Bin might have an attitude problem. Like, I'm one of the best players in the world. I deserve the teams are coming to me. When you are an elite player, when you are a top 5 player in your role, or even a top 10 player in the world, all of the leverage is on you. You are bringing that experience. You go into the off season and your night, every team is asking, what is the number on the check that you want? How much do you want, or what players do you want on your team? There's a reason why Bin is the only player that's contracts ends this year. Everybody else on this team is signed to 2027. Shun, Knight, Viper, and On signed to the end of next year. Bin was re-signed on a 1-year contract, and when you are a top caliber player, you get to decide who your teammates are and what teams you get to choose and who gets to court you. I mean, rumor was that JDG was going to try and buy out Knight this year. That's what Tabe went over and he was like, okay, crap. I get Knight on my team. I get to maybe keep Xiaoshu. And Shun might have stayed as well. Sounds good to me. Like,
I'll say though,
I'm happy about that.
I will say, in terms of legacy, like star teams in other sports and things like that, that we've seen star-studded teams across every sport imaginable, and the only ones that actually truly become successful are teams that will bow to other players and will let somebody else take the spotlight for a game or whatever, or when the time is needed. And I think that is something that BLG is struggling with. That's something that Bin is struggling with, because you are literally playing with the best player in the world in Knight, and you have to be willing to levy some of those resources to him if it's more successful. And it needs to be a Kobe, a Shaq. It needs to be the Lakers. It needs to be something where it is fluid together. They all see the goal, and the goal is to win a world championship. But when you have these slights of ego, when you want something more for yourself, I think that's when teams can be destroyed, and that's when you get to see moments like this where you're wondering what the hell's going on. So I think it's a little bit of both, but I really think that if we look at any other star-studded teams in the history of sports, there has to be some kind of levy to the ego.
All right, let's do a comparison here. I got this set up for us. We're going to do a little bit of a tier list here. We're going to look at, these are 10 champions that are some of the most popular for top lane this split. And we'll just kind of rank what we think these two players kind of specialize at. I am going to hopefully keep us moving along. We're 45 minutes into the pod, and we have another segment after this, including the schedule. So we can kind of just start off, and then we'll move. So we'll go from left to right here. Vayne, who do we think is the better Vayne player? Like, if we're going to rank Flandre versus Bin, where are we going to put Flandre's Vayne? I think Flandre's actually been pretty good on Vayne so far.
Oh, yeah. I was going to tell you to take the Vayne.
Ranked.
I was going to tell you to take the Vayne and drag it down all the way to the bottom left and take it off the screen. No, but it's. I would say Flandre has been better. We haven't seen it all that much from Bin, but I don't know if I would immediately jump on this pick and be like, no, Flandre needs to pick that in this moment.
No, of course not. But it's one of the most banned champions. It's like a champion that
put a B for Bin.
Every time players are like, right now, Olaf is having a huge resurgence. There are so many compositions that have very little crowd control or have a lot of crowd control, but don't have the consistent damage or the burst to get rid of an Olaf. And he is popping up. you have to ban this champion, and then you're also like, oh, do we also have to ban it because we want to play Gnar, right? People are really starting to explore that. So I do think it's a champion that we're seeing a ton of priority on, even if it doesn't finalize or become a pick in the game.
I feel like he has a lot of trouble finding his entrances though, and I know we've had a couple banger plays from him on the Mbessa, but I always feel like he's a little hesitant to find the kind of engages that you're looking for now. So I don't know. I would have put it at, yeah, I would have put it at B for Bin, and honestly B for Flandre, but that's just my vote. That's me.
Rafa, what do you think about the Mbessa here? All right, Jax.
S.
Whoa.
Yep.
We can't do that. We cannot be spamming S's, brother.
No, I'm talking about for Bin. For Bin.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, actually.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah. Jace.
Yeah, I actually think his Jace has gotten really good.
Crazy.
Yeah, his Jace has gotten nasty. I actually think Flandre's is an A. I actually think Flandre has had some really good Jace performances. Yeah, definitely not. But yeah. I think it's at least A. But
I think my problem with Flandre playing carries is that sometimes he kind of like doesn't understand like lethal ranges, so that ends up becoming a problem. And last year he was the progenitor of like the tank bruiser Jace build, but that was also a much different style of playing this champion.
Yeah, but it was still the champion though. Are we doing
it's
like
way different?
Yeah, but so are we doing it like current or at all time?
It's current.
Right?
It's current. It has to be current.
Okay.
Yeah.
True.
I might actually slide him down to C. I'm looking at his games, and I remember some of these. For Flandre, he had a Jace game versus IG in Split 1 playoffs where he went 1-6 versus Saburo. He won a game versus Team WE. He's playing against Cassante. And then he played against BLG, and he went 0-4 versus the Gnar matchup. Yeah, we might have to move him down. Olaf. I don't think we have seen... So we've seen Flandre play Olaf once. I don't remember Bin playing Olaf. I'm looking at it. We have no Olaf games this year. Yeah, we have no Olaf games this year. Okay.
To the C dub.
So yeah, we might have to I guess we might have to put it like, I feel like he is a good enough melee player that he should be here.
You know what they say about assuming. Put it in C, dog. Put it in C.
For
Bin.
No, he's played no Olaf games. Okay, yeah, so it just has to by default go to C. I think if we were to rate it on the projected skill of the player, I think Bin is probably a much better like Olaf player than Flandre is, given enough time to actually play. But we've seen that Bin historically has been very slow.
Then you also have to draw an asterisk for the Jace of Flandre. I'll make my stand.
Why? Wait, why? We've literally seen him play Jace.
If it was a different, yeah, but if it was a different build, then, or if it was a different thing, then he would be good.
But that's not the same argument. Lennon, shut up.
That's
not even the same argument. That's not the same argument at all.
It isn't, but it's almost. Technicalities.
All right. Varus top lane. Let's move on. Really? I think Flandre has been very mid on the marksman outside of Vayne. Also, wait, has he even played Varus top?
I don't know if he has.
He played Vayne. He played Vayne. I see no Varus top here for Flandre. Ninefiri top.
So down
okay,
to
so then
C.
we have to move it down to C because we haven't seen it. Yeah.
I think Nar goes double S maybe.
Ooh. I don't think that Flandre is an elite level Nar player. That I don't agree with. But we can I don't know how Mark feels on that one. He is 0-3 on the champion, by the way. Flandre is. He is 0-3 in 3 different matchups. Renekton, which is supposed to be a winning matchup. Jace, which is a slightly Jace favorite matchup as long as the Jace is playing properly, but that's every Jace matchup ever. And then he also lost a Jax game, which is also Jack's favorite. So he's kind of picking it in some bad spots, but yeah, I don't think it's yeah. He should technically be down here, but Rumble, I think that Bin's Rumble is almost always excellent for the most part.
Now
it is a requirement. Yes. Now. Yes. I would say he's here.
Yeah.
And then Renekton.
S for Bin.
Like, I don't know. When I think of Flandre and I look at his champion pool, I think this guy is great on neutralizers. I think he's like, the Shen is awesome. The Scion is great. He actually hasn't been having too much. He hasn't been having like too much success on Cassante this year. But generally speaking, I like him on these melee bruisers, these melee tanks. And Renekton has kind of shifted in that direction. But I do think he's kind of here.
I agree.
How are we feeling? Okay. But you don't need to be. You don't have to be a super elite player to win championships. I keep saying this. People want, like, the
just
hyper elite tier players in every single role. But, like, we've seen in every world championship, the best player in their role has not always won the tournament. So, and you already have Should Knight playing their kind of style. You have a Viper who likely isn't going to get more resources because that's just not what the meta is right now. So just play our Renektons, play our Rumbles.
Fries in the bag. You
can play a Rek'Sai if you really want to, even though she's been nerfed this year because Riot doesn't want to see her in solo lanes. I'm okay with that. You can win a tournament doing all of that. This looks like our final list. Any final moves people want to make?
I like it. It's good.
All right. That's our tier list. If you guys disagree with it, get in the comments. Spam one of us in the chat
you were gonna say
who you
something
think is
else.
wrong or who's a better choice. We've got one more slide before we talk about our before the end of the show, and we start talking about the schedule for week 4, which is this last support swap. We're finishing up the first round robin. Top Esports 7-1, Ninjas and Pajamas going 3-0 in the first round robin. Both of them are first. Do we think there has been tangible differences here between these two supports changing positions or changing teams in the league?
I think for Fengyue, yes. I think for Zhuo, he's had some okay games, some decent games, especially the last series. I think he had some better games. I know he was able to get MVP for one of the games, which was awesome. But I don't feel like it's been like, oh my god, game altering. It just feels like they're playing the same style more efficiently, and that's what they wanted, right? All the rumors were about communication and trying to figure out game plan and things like that, and Fengyue wasn't able to do that for top esports, and I'm glad it's working out for both of them in some regard. I hope we get to see them meet in the future in playoffs. That would be awesome, and that the narrative would just hit so hard, but I'm still hesitant on both. More positive on the Fengyue side. Still very hesitant if Zhuo can kind of hang for long term at least.
Fengyue got caught out a lot in their IG
He
series.
did.
I was really worried about how he was playing, but generally he's been pretty good. I think he's been okay. I think Zhuo's been fine. I also think that this team is getting massively carried by the fact that Zhuan is smurfing this split so far. He has been so good again in the regular season. It took a few games for them to find their footing after coming back from Daejeon, but Zhuan is looking incredible. I'm a little worried about this bot lane though. I think if you were to ask me, out of their last like 4 or 5 series, JackieLove has died in the first 5 minutes of the game at least once, sometimes twice, very early. Even if they end up winning those games, I think mistakes like those get you completely mollywopped in best of 5s, and it's a reason why JackieLove now has the title as the player with the most amount of second place finishes in the LPL in history. You need the consistency as a player that is supposed to be considered hyper elite in your role. You are supposed to be a player that is well renowned for your mechanics and for being one of the best AD carry players in the world. Getting solo kill or getting 2v2 killed or dying in lanes early because you're kind of flipping level 1s and level 2s, I think is a sign of a player that is slightly insecure. And that is a player that can get taken advantage of by better teams. I think it's highly likely. I mean, JackieLove obviously took off Split 1 for medical reasons, but this is yet another year where he wants to prove himself. I remember so many interviews last year and even this year where he's like, you know, as a pro player, nobody wants to win more than we do. So to the fans that, you know, are disappointed in our results, know that we are trying our hardest to try to win these. And for me, I won and found success very early on into my career, but everything past that has been kind of mitigating failures. Again, the player with the most amount of second place finishes in LPL now in history. That has to weigh on you pretty heavily, I think, even if you don't want to admit that publicly. And he's a player who hasn't been able to see in the spotlight of a international final in a very long time. So for JackieLove, with all the rumors of him and the medical issues, I know we were talking about the end of last year of him potentially just outright retiring. I think he wants a support, maybe in that vein of, hey, MSI was so bad because our shot calling ended up becoming too cluttered, or we didn't have enough of like a proper structure that we need to change it going into Split 3. Zhuo is a player who I think already knows what his job is or understand generally how he has to play, where Fengyue did get to learn the game, but he is still learning the game. He is still learning how to play in the LPL. Even if it's now playing in Group Nirvana, you're still playing against a lot of elite players, or at least good players here in the LPL. And Zhuo has the experience, even if we don't feel like he has the ceiling that a player like Fengyue could have. Yeah,
I agree.
Well, good luck, Fengyue. I'm excited for your career. I love you so much. You are a really fun player to watch and a very exciting player to watch. Always, always, always. And I hope your career continues to go up and to the right in terms of success. And Zhuo, keep it pushing, brother. Please. Like,
just do good,
you're not the only
please.
player that we're looking. Yeah. All right. Last slide here. We've got our schedule for week 4. Yet another week where we're getting a lot of cool games. We are getting
Fingers.
some of the last of LNG series. They're going to be going through a little bit of the roughie, going against the first place team in the league. But gentlemen, what is a game that if someone watching the podcast is saying, I have no time to watch, I can only watch one series, or I can only watch one series live, which series are you giving to them? What if he doesn't debut at all?
True. Ben just comes in with a steel chair. This one's gonna sound really dumb, guys. Weibo versus NIP. Not only because Weibo have to win that one, but this is gonna be the true test on if this change, or these changes rather, is going to make the run for Weibo. And I think it's really fun. I think NIP have obviously looked really good. I know you're talking about them and lauding them, and I think that's awesome. And I do think there's a possibility of them just 2-0ing the series. But I think the narrative is always fun. That's what I buy into. And the possibility of a miracle. And the possibility of the Way Bros doing the most Way Bro thing. So that's mine.
Rafa?
Warping their entire game around it. And that has been the most consistent look for them so far.
Okay. I would have to agree. I think that BLG JDG, even if Flandre's not going to play, is the match of the week to me. I think it is the one that's the most impactful for the standings. I think it is the one that is going to give us the best look, especially because JDG just came off a 3-0 week against some of the, the fact that we just saw JDG farm wins off of LGD.
And the most impactful, you know. I'm just saying, Weibo get knocked out. That's impactful.
We already know that they're getting knocked out. So I already know it's gonna happen. I already know they're gonna lose. Them brothers are losing. So I have zero anything.
Probably.
So, see you later, Weibo. I don't miss you. You piss me off all the time, so I'm not gonna bother. And that's kind of our podcast. That is gonna be the end of the show here. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on what was a slightly extended one because Rafa decided to get Mordekaiser ulted in real life.
We were having fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Gentlemen, where can people find you this week, Lennon?
At Mazel Cast and moving. So it's gonna be a fun week. It's gonna be an interesting one. I believe I'm on Thursday. So should be fun.
Okay.
Thursday
Rafa?
for Mazel. Wednesday, if you want to watch Mazel on NACL during non-degenerate hours. I will be on NACL Friday. I am currently scheduled for LPL right after
Saturday
NACL.
and Sunday.
We'll figure it out.
Sunday. We are potentially figuring something out so that I am not doing.
Worst comes to
Lennon,
worst,
Lennon, you're on Wednesday and you're on Friday.
Yeah. Worst comes worst, I cast from moving truck. No. We'll figure. I know. I'm just joking.
We can reach out to the other homies. Something I do want to shout out. Lausha Ilya or Professor Ilya. I memorized League of Legends in Mandarin just in case he did it for a third week in a row. Ying Xiong Yameng, and I know that the first two characters has like the half square in the middle with the line and the two vertical lines at it like striking the middle, and the second character's got like the slanted X on the top left. So I was ready. I was ready to prove that it stuck in my brain just for him.
I firmly believe that learning Mandarin should be about more comprehending it and about how you can read the characters and apply that knowledge into further usage versus simply memorization. Good job.
I've been using my Mandarin app, and I've been using it without the romanization or without the English on it. So I've been purely reading Pinyin and learning, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Pinyin is the romanization.
Oh, it is? Okay, well then I suck.
Oh no. Okay, goodbye, Alk.
Well,
You're writing the Hanzi.
Yeah. I just want to show everybody.
Is the romanization.
yeah.
Right.
While he writes that, I will say that I was just trying to lock in specifically for that because it was done twice in a row, and I just wanted to make sure that I was gonna remember it for the third week. Oh yeah, look at
Nice.
that. Bang. But
And then I've also got more practice here.
I can at least ask people what their name is.
True.
Ijalma, and then I'll ask them, "Are you my
feet?
friend?"
Ilya is getting triggered.
Just stop while you're ahead.
Mark
Stop
just
while you're ahead,
asked, You
Rafa.
feet.
Yes, what?
Ijalma.
You feet?
Ijalma.
Where's Briar?
You feet? Question mark?
Okay.
All right.
What
So
about
we learned two things about
Yeah.
Rafa.
Ijalma?
Shenma.
We did.
Are you really going to ask people if they're really your friend in Chinese?
So
Maybe.
Rafa really wants to cast Weibo LNG,
We're putting on Weibo.
and he really likes feet. And that's how we're going to end the
Those two
22nd
things.
episode of the LPL English podcast. Thank you for joining us this week.
Okay.
We'll be back next Monday for another episode.
He can't say anything because he doesn't have a picture. Aha!
I love the zero emotion okay afterwards. He just goes resolves.
From a dog.
Again, make sure that you guys are following us on all of our social media. It is Twitter, twitter.com/LPL_English, YouTube, LPL English as well. Please make sure you're tapping in. We'll be back on Wednesday, 2 a.m. PDT for the start of week 4. And reminder, week 4 and week 5, and then we're going straight into play-ins, baby. So make sure you want to keep us tapped in. Like, comment, notification bell, all that jazz. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good night.